Hello, I'm Josh Stanish, and I'm going to tie in. It's called a bunny dun. It's a mayfly, dry fly. It's just incorporating using snowshoe rabbit foot in it, which is a great material for getting a fly to float. And we're going to tie this a little oversized today. This is a size 10, mainly for practical purposes of being able to see a little easier and how the steps go. I usually tie this in a size 14 down to about a size 20. And you can do any of your mayfly imitations using this technique. You just change up your dubbing color and you can change up your wing color. So it's just a standard shank dry fly hook. I'm just using a gray UTC thread in a 70 denier. We'll go ahead and attach this on. Get that right to the back. We're going to take some microfibbits or microfibbits, and this is just going to imitate the tail on the mayfly. Go ahead and pull a few of these off. I like to try and get about 4 of them. Keep the tips matched up. I'm just going to tie these right on. We want them to be at least the length of the hook shank, if not a bit longer. We'll go ahead and tie these right at the rear. Try and keep them right on top of the hook shank. Now once I get them tied in, to split them, I just take my fingernail, give it a little push, and you can get some of them to go on one side of the hook and some on the other. There's a lot of different methods for splitting these microfibbits. They can be a little bit challenging to work with at times, but we'll go ahead and get our nice little split tail there. And I used a dark dun on this one, primarily for demonstration purposes. I hoped it would show up a little bit better than the light dun, but I usually use the light duns instead. So we get our fork tail on there. Now we're just going to take our choice of superfine dubbing. This happens to be pale morning dun because I'm tying a pale morning dun mayfly. But you can use olive for Baetis, you can do mahoganies, you could do tricos, you could do all kinds of mayfly species with this pattern. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to attach a little bit of dubbing here, and I'm only going to dub this up about halfway. And again, when you're, especially with dry fly dubbing, really be sure that you use very small amounts because you can always add more, but it's really hard to take it away. So don't use a lot of dubbing when you dub your dry flies. Go ahead and start towards the rear here. Work our way forward. Don't normally tie these on a size 10, so keeping proportions correct can be a little challenging, but it can be good practice sometimes to tie flies larger than they need to be just to keep working on your proportion. And we're trying to achieve kind of a cigar taper to this body as we come forward. So we're going to go to about there. Now we're going to use snowshoe rabbit foot, which this comes from a snowshoe hare, and it's got some real inherent properties that are really good for making a fly float. They've got some oils in the fur that's really good. The easiest way to deal with snowshoe rabbit foot is it's going to come in a full foot, and the best thing to do is take a razor blade and split it right in half down the toenails, and that'll end up splitting your leg in half here, which gives you easier access to this nice fluffy material. This stuff up here has a lot of guard hairs in it, so your real prime stuff's back here in the middle of the foot. This is where you're going to get the nice fluffy material. So we're going to come in here, cut out a chunk, fairly good sized chunk of this, because you're going to end up kind of splitting it out. We didn't get quite a big enough chunk, so we're going to use that one. Grab one more nice chunk out of here. Okay, and if you get a big enough chunk, you want to take and split it in half and reverse them so that you have part guard hair on one side and part guard hair on the other. We'll go ahead now and we're going to lay this right on top of the hook shank at our wing point. Tie it in, do a little figure 8 so that you can get this just like a set of spinner wings. Figure 8 them in place, and then I just pull this wing straight up. I'm going to try and wrap a little thread in front of it to keep that wing standing up and come right behind it. You can even go ahead and make one little wrap like a parachute, just to keep all that wing on the upper end of the hook, because this fly is going to ride really low in the water. Now we're going to go ahead and attach some additional dubbing so that we can just clean up around this wing that we built. And you can build these wings really big. The bigger the better, because it's easier to see it on the water. That's probably the nicest part about this fly, is it's very visible. So when you're dry fly fishing, if you can't see the fly, it makes it much more difficult and a lot less enjoyable. So we're going to go ahead and get this dubbing wrapped all the way around the right around the wing. Then we just make a nice little head with our thread. Whip finish it. Now you kind of preen this wing a little bit. If you've got too much in front, you can trim it down and then pull it all straight up. And just trim all your tips even. You'll have to preen out some stuff. Just make sure your bottom's nice and flat so that this fly will land right on the surface. And there we have a basic bunny done. Great little fly, floats real well. Can use regular floating on it, frog's fanny. And it's just a nice, simple mayfly dry that's easy to see and very easy to tie.